Are we ready, Cheryl?
We're ready.
All right. And if we could, everyone is present. If you would get stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda. I would like to add that we need to approve the FPS minutes now that we have. I've been taking those. I would make a motion to add to the agenda the approval of the FPS minutes from 4/21/25.
I'll support that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. Motion passes. Approval of the minutes. We'll start with a special meeting of March 20.
Approve the minutes from the special meeting on March 20, 2025.
Okay, do I have support?
I'll support.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. The next minutes are March 27th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from March 27, 2025.
Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed say no. Minutes are approved. We have the emergency special meeting held April.
Mary, can you do the closed session for the same date of 3/27?
Yes, we can. All right, so we need to approve, and that was what we had just signed, the minutes from the closed session for March 27, 2025.
I'll make a motion. We approve those.
Do we have support? Yes. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. The April 10th meeting. The only change that I saw on the 10th was that the EM, we had discussed several different routes and we had ended up with the flat fee of 5,000 for that contract. But we do have it in the financial correct, so.
Sort of slight misunderstanding of that. I thought it was up to 5,000, but it was a flat fee.
we
The
did-
motion was up to $5,000, not a flat fee. It was for room and board, wages and mileage up to $5,000.
And I had that Michelle had corrected that.
Yeah, I put down that I corrected it. But you corrected what? That it was 5,000.
Because the number was not stated until I asked what is the cap at, and then there was kind of some discussion, like what makes sense, is 5,000 sound like a good cap, and then Andrew, you would recommend that we say doing this for these things up to 5,000.
I believe that it was questioned. Ms. Rose asked me about that, and I went back and looked at my physical notes, and I have it exactly how I had it.
We didn't go over.
But it was just up to.
No,
Well, the contract was written incorrectly, which is a different discussion, but as far as the minutes, it was, the board did say to do up to $5,000.
As long as we didn't go over. But yeah, I thought it was 5,000.
we did have discussion during that, so.
Back and forth.
Yeah, we probably should have.
Yeah, because it went back and forth, so.
I just assumed that they would submit a bill and then we would just see if it was near their cap, our cap or not.
Well, that's already been done at this point, so do we want to amend the meeting minutes or leave them as is then? Well, the other question too, I believe, was the Open Meeting Act, the concern about the Open Meeting Act, and I did reach out to Michigan Association of Counties. And they gave me a legal answer that said, although Montmorency has 5 members, BOC, 3 constituting a quorum, the work being performed in the EOC, performing other duties of the county would be separate from the regular duties as commissioners. And also performing this work in the EOC is not incompatible, MCL 15.183. Otherwise, if they were not deliberating toward a decision on a matter of public policy, then the Open Meetings Act should not be implicated. So there's the answer to
Which I
that.
agree with that, but the concern was just that things were coming to the emergency meeting, so once it's on the agenda, to me, it is subject to the Open Meetings Act, and items on the agenda were already created and decided as far as payment and things like that, so that's why I brought it up, just to be cautious of that going forward.
Well, that was probably mine, because I had talked to Andrew when he had said that he had someone that was willing to do that, so I brought that.
Well, there were
forward.
multiple things, but it was the debris management, like all the details were already worked out and presented to the board. So it was just a comment to be cautious of that going forward. So I
And
understand.
I guess I made
being
those
in the
decisions
EOC,
based as the EM, because I had those discussions.
But
with
they were
Andrew.
coming to the board for a decision. So
Right, we were
They
presenting
were
them to the board.
for board decision and board discussion at that point. That is Open Meetings Act.
Right, and that is what we did. We did have
Okay.
that.
Well, it was just to be cautious going forward, so.
Okay. So do I have approval for the April 10th? Are you going to leave it as is, or do you want to amend it?
We can leave it as is.
All right, so do we have, I need a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
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 All opposed say no. It passes. The FPS meeting. These are the minutes that we have been holding, April 21st, 2025, and that was before our finance. Is there any questions on that? That's kind of awkward because there's only 2 of us that sit on that meeting.
I don't think I have that here.
It looked a little different format.
Thank you. Approval, to be honest with you.
I don't know if they do either.
I haven't heard back from the attorney
Oh, okay.
any further. I need to reach out to him just to see where he might be at with that, but I don't know that they actually need approval. That's why I just submitted, I signed them already, is submitted.
Okay, all
Um,
right. I just didn't want you to have done it and us not approve it.
I will be keeping them, that's for sure. I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt to approve them at this point, Mary, until we get clarification from the
Yeah,
attorney.
that's
I
kind
don't
of-
know, rather than if we had to, if we should have, then have to backtrack.
Yeah, we can. So
Thank you.
the only thing, Cheryl, on those, I
Okay.
do have an amendment, is I would, because that direct expenses, that first paragraph on $12,765.89.
Okay,
To remove from shelter and firefighters, because there was a lot of things in there. That's that list that we have started. April, did you have that list? I don't see it here,
Okay.
but maybe that,
It's attached to the EOC report.
I think those
Yeah.
are just ones that you referenced in the meeting, but I'm
Right.
sure I can certainly, if you
But-
want that, just removed and just keep direct expenses in the amount.
yeah, because there was that whole list. And
Okay.
if it's in the EOC report, then you can attach
Yep.
that if you like.
I'm just gonna draw a line through it and
Okay.
initial it, at this point, so.
Okay, and then I would just like to add under paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, under the bottom paragraph, I would just like to add that just for clarification, that the EOC report that we have.
Which paragraph are we talking? You said the
The very
bottom, but then
bottom,
you started
very bottom of the
counting.
page.
Okay.
Very bottom of the page.
Okay,
Just add that I had made that comment that the EOC report was just directed to the activities that were done here at the county building. And, Adam's report was specifically for what took place here and the people that were involved in this center, not all the EMS and fire and, there's a lot of people that worked in a lot of areas. That was just our EOC report.
Okay.
And I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended for April 21st, 2025.
I'll second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes. Claims and accounts.
I will make a motion to approve claims and accounts for the period March 28, 2025 through April 24th, 2025. Claims in the amount of $86,039.50. EFTs in the amount of $396,904.81. Desk checks in the amount of $763,943.13. For a total of $1,246,887.44.
I'll support that motion. Any discussion? Make the motion. And I support that. So all in favor, say yes.
Roll
Yes.
call.
Yeah.
You
money.
need a roll call?
Oh, yes, sorry. Roll call.
Rose,
Yes.
DeBrent,
Yes.
Hamlin,
Yes.
Peltier,
Yes.
Hardee's.
Yes. Limited public comment on agenda items only. Comment?
Can I?
Yes.
As of April 24th, 2025, Montmorency County is still in an active state of emergency. There is still an active incident action plan with items being taken care of. It is very important that an after action report occurs, but that can't happen until the work is completed and the incident has ended. This work will likely continue for quite a while, and our office is handling this currently. Other agencies are still contacting us with the work they are doing and when they have requests for assistance. Wholeheartedly, I agree that a full-time emergency manager for the county is great and something that has been discussed here for many years with no fruition. With that being said, that position would need to be the only position they hold, not a shared duty or a second job. What was learned during this emergency thus far is that no full-time EM would have been capable of handling this incident. The chair acted appropriately by bringing in a skilled incident management team to handle this incident. Having this team in place is why our county was days ahead of other counties around us, and we heard that at multiple meetings with those counties. They were struggling by not having a team, and one EM in those counties was not solely handling this incident. They had other agency assistance. We have options that really need to be discussed for the EM position. A full-time EM could still leave us vulnerable if another incident occurs like this. Sharing an EM could cause problems as well if a multi-county incident occurs again. Our third option would be to contract with a company or a firm that specializes in incident management and would provide not only an EM for our county, but also an IMT in the event of a large incident. This type of service is becoming more popular in areas around the state. Having the resources of an IMT could help the county gain resources and take advantage of large-scale grants that we are not currently receiving. We learned that having an IMT in place brought us more resources during this incident as well. Collaboration with the agencies is ultimately what we need to see more of. The work by all the agencies that showed up this incident was remarkable. I would suggest allowing us to vet proposals for such a contract. Likely, it would be approximately the same cost as sharing an EM with Alpena, but definitely less than having an individual full-time with benefits.
Oh, comment?
My name is Mike Sukent, Albert Township Supervisor. That was a nice report. I do have some disagreements with it. My comments are going to be proactive versus reactive leadership. On November of 2024, we had an emergency manager and that position became vacant. On December 2024, Albert Township presented a plan to the county for emergency management. Our board voted unanimously to approve that and send that on to the county. Unfortunately, that presentation never saw the light of day. Don't know why. February 2025, we had the Snowdrift Rally, great event in the state, in the county. However, coordination between all the communities as to what was going on and where the access points were in case of emergency were not transmitted properly because there was no emergency manager. March 2025, we have an ice storm. There's no local leadership, no emergency management system in place, no emergency management messaging in place. So what do we need to do to be reactive? We need to hire someone and not from outside our county. maybe even consider the Albert Township proposal. You need someone to continue to coordinate activities now. I'm getting phone calls from all over the state, people wanting to come up here and clean up, primarily Knights of Columbus. 4,000 councils in the state of Michigan want to come up here and help clean up, and there's nobody to coordinate that activity. So my question is, also with the hiring of an EM or even a consultant, who's going to be involved in that? And I don't think it should be just limited to the county board. I think it needs to include the township supervisors, because we're the ones, the townships, that have boots on the ground and had to deal with this face to face throughout this entire event. And I think that that's where that coordination, even if it's just a conversation with the township supervisor. We had a meeting at our township hall with the Township Association of Montmorency County, and that was very widely shared amongst all the townships. Love to have an additional discussion. So much I can get done in 3 minutes. Thank you.
Public comment?
Sure, Chad Brown. Just to follow up, I'd like to echo everything that was just stated. I think there is remarkable value in having local leadership at that emergency management level for all the reasons that were just stated. Is emergency management is more than just disaster management. It's pre-planning. It's having action plans for events that are annually occurring here in the county. And there is investment when you have somebody that is local. And the idea of farming it out or contracting, if that's on the table, okay. I mean, it's as long as we're going to look at all options equally, then I'm on board. I personally haven't had the opportunity of working with a contracted EM or IMT. The two natural disasters we've dealt with is the Blue Lakes fire, which Michigan DNR brought in their storm team. And it was very similar to the Oakland County IMT. They're honed, they're a machine. They spend a lot of time, a lot of training, and they invest in the program that they have. Even though we're small, we can do the exact same thing. We can have individuals that are involved as an EM and make action plans for events that occur literally annually, from the snowdrift to our county fair, to the festivals that are around here. All you have to do is watch local news, and some of our greatest fears are those kind of soft targets. And by having an involved and a local EM, they're going to have those same types of feelings. So you need to have somebody that's going to take ownership of that, have those barriers, have those evacuation plans, have those, whether it be weather disasters. These are the things that I think having a local individual brings a lot of value. So I would encourage that if you're gonna look at contracting, that there be legitimate consideration for a full-time, even if we have to do something different within our budget or within the county as a whole. But investing in that position is, it's worth its weight in gold, truly. It would take one accident at an event, and we'll wish we had done something different. So please, I encourage you, if you're gonna make considerations for the EM position, please make sure that whether it's a contract with one of the local entities or an individual from the county, make sure that we're putting value in that local asset and look at a full-time person, because it'll be worth it in the end. We've discussed limiting liability all the time, and that's what this person's position is limiting liability as much as possible. Thank you.
Here's something online too.
All right. Doug Morrison from Hillman. I agree with the gentleman that was spoke up here that we do need to have somebody. What bothers me is at one point you guys did have somebody, and he's a pretty knowledgeable guy. I think you need to look at, maybe there's a reason that he isn't here for that job, but I think you need to reconsider him and look at his credentials, because I know he has some great credentials. And he was at the meetings when and so was I, when all these people were here explaining what we need to do. I think our local I was really impressed with Hillman's fire department ambulance people. When they did the key checks to make sure everybody was okay in their homes. I could not get over how many volunteers that Hillman had there. It was incredible to see. I was very proud of the Hillman group, fire department, ambulance people. I thought they did way above and beyond their job. My son's a police officer. The first 2 days when he was on duty, he said, Dad, it was just totally nuts. All he did for the first day was answer 911 calls. Couldn't get enough people in to even answer all those calls. So I thought he went above and beyond his job. What really impressed me with my son is on Tuesday, Wednesday, that was his day off. He volunteered his time to go do it with the fire department. So you had police officers having their day off, volunteered, not getting paid, volunteered on their days off to do this. I was very impressed with our sheriff's department. I know you guys been butting heads with the sheriff's department over all kinds of stuff. My personal feeling is shame on you for doing that. We need police department. We need these people. You won't realize how bad you need these people until one of you guys call and you need that person. And if they're not there, again, shame on you. Thanks.
We have someone else online.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. My name is Kelly Carl, and I'd like to comment on the same topic today. I volunteered my time as the public information officer for part of that first week. I've also worked in and on behalf of local governments for close to 30 years. So I'd like to share some feedback as a public information officer, but also some suggestions based on my local government experience. So first, as you consider your next steps for your emergency management planning, pull together the smartest people in your emergency management to develop that framework. Your EM needs to be someone who knows how to coordinate internally, but also to collaborate and build relationships externally. In my experience, local governments are successful when they build on the expertise of their peers. So that means seek out examples and best practices in county emergency management to begin to frame your next steps. Consider pulling together all your experts in emergency response. Include people like Lieutenant DeCastro, Lieutenant Barker, other county EMs, MDOT, DNR, our own people in the county, and even the supervisors like the Albert Township supervisor mentioned. Identify those priorities for moving forward. It was very clear from talking to the Oakland County Incident Management Team that every county, including this county, needs committed people that are assigned to specific roles. So when these things happen, they're in roles like operations, logistics, planning, recon, finance, and public information that supports the overall response for any future emergency management. Next, I want to recognize the successes. As a public information officer, just for that first week, I kept hearing from professionals involved in the 12 county response, praising our county for the overall response, the early and quick response, the well checks, the road commissions, statements like, wow, your county's way ahead of other counties. And this was on some of the public information meetings. How did the county get their roads cleared so fast? And other counties are just getting started. How did the county get that Oakland County Incident Management Team up here? What that demonstrated was that this was a team effort that came together. So kudos really to everyone who played a role in the overall response. But that really reinforces the standpoint that any EM must be supported by a team. Take a bit of time to gather those best practices and hear from experts who have recommendations for our county. Create a framework of priorities moving forward that guides your interview process for any future EM. That EM must be like a conductor in an orchestra who knows how to pull the pieces together across all different categories of emergency response. Finally, I need to say the county does need a standing relationship with a nonprofit for emergency response donations and fundraising. Unfortunately, the county lost this opportunity for countywide donations when the treasurer represented the county by using a personal Venmo bank account. Regardless, there were good intentions, I see that, but the county was actually put at risk by soliciting donations under the name of the county, but it was being collected through a personal bank account. As the public information officer, I sent that flyer to my own local government peers and networks all over the state. This county lost the good graces of people outside of our county and outside the state who wanted to donate, but questioned the validity of the donation site. Like I said, regardless of good intentions, the optics ruined that early fundraising opportunity. We could have had significant donations if it had been set up correctly from the beginning. And with that, that ends my public comment.
Public comment?
Jeff McDonald, I'm the zoning administrator for Elbert Township. And I have a question to the commissioners as far as where do we stand on preparing for the fire season, this season? How we're addressing that, who is addressing that? Clearing fire lanes and preparing before we have another disaster here in our county. Thank you.
Public comment? Yes, if you, yeah, that's fine. No, it doesn't matter.
My name's Bruce Brown. I am the post service officer for VFW Post 2356 in Hillman. As our post service officer, I give advice to our veterans and dependents of our veterans. I advise them on what they need, like letters and statements that could back up their claim and then I send them to our county Veterans Service Office. I cannot file claims or do things like that, but at least I can point them in the right direction and have them somewhat prepared. At our last meeting, there were several members complaining about the service they were receiving at our county Veterans Service Office. Our veterans believe that these people do not care about helping them. This has been going on for quite some time now. I'm not only talking about weeks and months, but years. As our elected officials, if this is happening, you need to put a stop to this. It is time for the people that work in that office to realize what they're there for. They are there for our veterans. Our veterans were willing to give their life for this country and should be treated with the respect they deserve. I am here to tell you, if this does not happen, I will go to the local newspapers and television stations and get this out publicly. Let us see what the public thinks of our veterans being treated this way. This stops now. I am a disabled veteran that got injured in the line of duty. I was severely injured and almost lost my life. I spent 4 months in a hospital overseas. I was 18 years old and had to learn to walk again. This is personal to me. When I came home, I was really messed up. I went to see a person in that office then. His name was James Leroy Boschman. At that time, the title was Montmorency County Veterans Counselor. That was in '75. He did not hesitate to help me. So believe me when I say if this does not stop, I will not stop fighting for our veterans either. There's a lot of spunk left in this old veteran. Thank you and have a very good day.
Public comment? Hearing none, go to the 2025 report of assessment rule changes and classifications.
Actually, I have good news this year. We came out of March Board of Review without incident. So everything is in the packet. It's pretty much the same information over and over and over again on the 60 forms that the state requires, just stated in a different way. We are up to, for an assessed value on our normal properties, not on our DNR pill roll, $1,070,030,789. We crusted it.
What's that number again?
$1,070,030,789. That is an increase of $109,994,889 over last year.
we had a lot of sales, which is good for our economy. It means that our taxable will also be increasing more than just the rate of inflation, which we usually see. Good. I'm not anticipating it to keep going this way as inventory is now kind of gone in the real estate market. And once everything gets back to pre-COVID, we probably will be seeing values go back down. It's getting a little out of control. Cannot keep sustaining the 11 and 20% increases that we've been having over the last couple of years. What happens when you have a booming real estate market? There is a form at the back of it, the equalization report that has tentative taxable values. Those will not be set until we get all the information from the locals and counties that are around us that we share data with. But those are our tentatives. Tentatively, we are up 4% on our taxable as well, which for general operating monies, we're only going to see about $127,000 increase over last year for actual intake. Not enough to keep up with rising costs of anything. So, watch it carefully. Spend wisely. Keep it slow. So especially when you're talking about putting in a new EM and all that, we need to be able to make sure that we're sustaining that very important position with a very slow increase in revenue.
All right, thank you.
Do you need a motion for to sign?
Yes, Mary and Cheryl both need to sign the 4037 and the 2024, which is just a statement that we do not have a factor. Had no troubles.
Trying to give me those numbers, because I'll make the motion that we. What was the number again? I'm sorry.
4037
Okay.
and the L 4024.
No, 24.
You make that motion.
Yes.
I'll support.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Do you want a roll call, Cheryl, or?
No, if you need it or not. But
Okay. All in favor, say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion passes. You have those forms there that I can sign today.
Unless you've got,
I have a
you've got
copy I
singular
can-
copies. I'm just gonna, I don't sign it.
So there's the first page, and then you gotta sign the back. And then also. Share it afterwards.
All right, thank you. All right, Macoa donations and form update.
So Mocoa has received a total of $2,245 in donations from the community. And it is $140 of that being in cash for turnover from the shelter, from the school when it went to the Atlanta Senior Center. All the money is still there. We are still in the midst of trying to figure out, you know, our people are back in the homes, the meals have restarted. So everything is going good with the help of local agencies, and we've been able to restock our pantries without any cost to us. So right now that money is just sitting there earmarked for, the board has decided that we are going to use that money for people to, that are in need of maybe some debris cleanup, our clients, especially the needy and the ones that can't do it themselves, if that happens. However, we're working with rapid response right now. Most of our clients have been able to utilize them, which has been wonderful. All in all, the community coming together, I just want to say thank you to all of you. You know who you are and you know what you did, and I am proud to serve in this county right alongside of all of you. But anyhow, when it comes to the donations, they're still there. I don't know who all of the donors were for some of them. So I can't thank them, but you know who you are, and I thank you for everything. And when we do end up using that fund and for what, I will come back and report that.
Can I have your name, please?
Beverly Crawford.
Thank you, Beverly.
Storm update. You want to get the debris information,
You just want me to read the updates on,
or I can do the incident status.
if you want to do the status, I can do the other part,
All right.
updates.
It was on the table out there if you're interested. This is the Montmorency County Ice Storm Incident Status Summary, and I'm just going to read it because it was written by the EM that was here during Adam Matheville. It says the Montmorency County Emergency Operations Center was activated on March 30th at 8 due to the severe impact of the ice storm on March 29th. Montmorency County employees, volunteers, and county commissioners staffed the EOC in the initial days, coordinating county efforts to mitigate the disaster. On April 2nd, the state of Michigan activated the Oakland County Incident Management Team to provide support with the ongoing response and recovery efforts. There's a sheets detailing the staffing levels that took place in this county building at that time. During the initial week following the storm, the EOC managed objectives, including coordinated debris clearing to open roadways, coordinate and tracking welfare checks based on 911 and 211 calls, coordinating with power companies, shelter and distribution points for victims, developing a logistics ordering and management process, executing public messaging strategies, and developing a debris management plan. During the second week of the incident, objectives shifted to supporting countywide shelter operations, initiating countywide debris management operations, and coordinating donation and distribution sites. In addition, the EOC coordinated with the State of Michigan Emergency Operations Center, Livingston County IMT, Department of Natural Resources IMT, as well as dozens of other state and local agencies to ensure coordination in mitigating effects of the storm. The EOC utilized the Michigan Critical Incident Management System to maintain constant contact with the SEOC. MySIMS was utilized to submit resource requests, task requests to the DNR, Michigan National Guard, and Michigan Task Force 1 Urban Search and Rescue. Daily incident action plans were also filled in MySIMS and assured the SEOC had up-to-date information on county response and recovery efforts. For the duration of the ongoing incident, the EOC has adhered to the National Incident Management System for managing the incident, which included incorporating the incident command system to ensure the required components were addressed. The EOC focused on command and management, resource management, communications and information management, supporting technologies, and ongoing management and maintenance. I have included the daily battle rhythm maintained by the EOC in coordinating the county response. While each day varies depending on objectives, it should provide commissioners with a general idea of the daily workflow. And as the incident progressed, initial response efforts continue to transition into recovery efforts, which will be ongoing for months. Among the recovery efforts were coordination of damage assessment crews, continued management of debris sites, tracking of debris, and coordination of volunteer assistance to residents. On April 15th, the OCIMT demobilized and transferred all incident management duties to county staff. The contracted deputy manager, approved by the Board of Commissioners, worked alongside the OCIMT to ensure a smooth transition. The deputy emergency manager continued supporting incident management operations throughout that past week. And on April 18th, the contracted deputy emergency manager demobilized. The county controller, along with staff and volunteers from outside agencies, will continue to manage the ongoing recovery efforts until the incident is officially closed. And it is crucial that the ongoing recovery efforts continue to be reported, coordinated, and tracked through the EOC to ensure state and federal reimbursement requirements and make sure they're met. Countywide coordination and information sharing with townships is extremely important to best secure disaster reimbursement as it becomes available, which we have been doing. We've been sending resources and different funding options to the townships. I've spoken to several township individuals over the last couple of weeks. And we are still in the debris management. We were still taking pictures as of last night to send to the different, we've done title and we've done.
Yeah, I can do that update.
Okay.
So just so you guys have an idea of what's going on in the county right now, there's debris sites set up at 3 locations with hours posted on the website. 201 still being used to track needs for cleanup, and it's tracked under crisis cleanup. So when someone needs assistance with their yard cleaning, they can call into 211 to get added to the list. If anybody has issues calling into 211, which we have found a couple people have had issues, feel free to call our office and I can submit it directly to the Northeast Michigan manager for 211 and he will get them added to the list if anybody can't get through.
And not to mention, if the townships are having those calls, they can refer them to you because you can. pass
Yeah,
them on.
and if there is any groups that want to come and help with the cleanup, they need to let us know so we can add them to the crisis cleanup list, because if somebody submits a request through 211, that if they're on that list, then they can get coordinated to go out to those people's houses. So that's the main coordination of getting debris cleanup, is using the 211 crisis cleanup. So anybody, there's a link, you can go on to 211, you can apply to be a vendor basically, which means you get added to the Northeast Michigan list of people to help with resources. So that coordinates, it's a central location for everybody that is willing to volunteer and help for areas to be connected with individuals who need the help. Rapid response group is still here. They were planning to be here through the week, possibly next week. They are cleaning up and also hauling the materials to our dump sites. We posted training cleanup services and keep adding that list if we have it. Eagle gave us a blanket permit for the sites and they have been notified of the locations that we have. The road commission is maintaining the sites for us regularly to keep it contained. Chipping, mulching plans are being made. And I'll let you know that I've been in contact with fuel suppliers that are, he's going to be coming to our sites hopefully by the end of the week. And they will come in and chip the debris that's there and haul it away for us because our Buttle site is pretty overburdened right now. I talked to Todd Bering last night. He said that if we can't get that chipped and hauled away soon, they'd have to close the site by Monday and they couldn't continue to take debris. It's that full. So we're working on that fuel supplier to come in. They're going to chip it, haul it away so that we can start fresh in those debris sites. And then there's a couple different vendors that will come in and do that. And that's at no cost to us. They'll just come in, chip it and haul it away at all of our sites. So that's the plan that's happening right now. The hope is at the end of it, if we wanted to, we could keep some chipped there and allow community residents to come back and pick it up for mulch if they wanted to.
How soon do they think they can come in?
He said he was, that's why we got sent pictures to him last night. We're hoping that he can possibly be in by before the end of the week so that we don't have to close the site at all. Because we want to keep the sites running and they're right now scheduled to go through May 11th. We're tracking all these dumps with disposal tickets. So we have to show what address they came from. We have to confirm that it was from the storm that it created. And then that will have to be turned in when they come in and do federal disaster so that we can claim that all the debris we've collected is actually from the storm. It's required. We have procedures and training for each of the people staffing the sites. There's signage posted at the sites. They're completing 214s for all the work that they're doing there. We consulted with Tidal Basin and they're good with our process. So they said we're in conjunction with what we need to do so that if we go to the federal declaration, we're all set. The damage assessment was.
Before you move on, what is the expiration on the Eagle permit? You said it's a blanket permit, but what is
It's
it?
until July, let me get the exact date. And it can be extended because it looks like some of our emergency efforts are being, the deadlines are being extended. So that could extend as well. 1 second. say it was the end of July, July 12th, 2025. The authorization expires on July 12th, 2025 by the end of the day unless Eagle grants an extension to this authorization. And we just received on the 22nd that this was sent to the governor. Response to your April 21st, 2025 request for a time extension to request a major disaster declaration for the state of Michigan as a result of severe winter storms during the period of March 28th through 30, 2025. The basis of your request is that additional time is needed to complete the ongoing preliminary damage assessments with FEMA. You indicated the reasons for the delay are the ongoing response operations due to the severity and widespread nature of the impacts from the event. Your request for an extension is approved until May 29th, 2025. Should you have any questions or concerns regarding your deadline, please contact the regional administrator for FEMA. So that was extended as well to get that declaration in. So the damage assessments were completed by the county on state iPads and submitted on our behalf. And the state was here this week and doing their own assessments to start with a FEMA declaration, make sure we reach those thresholds. The state's also going to come in the week of the April 28th with FEMA to do some more assessment. And then we have contacts with Tidal Basin, and that's the state contact that if FEMA declaration does occur, then they would come in and they could bid for a contract to help us with our public assistance applications and submitting all the documentation for the FEMA declaration. And it would be as a no cost to the county, it would be reimbursable. So if that declaration does happen, we do have that possibility of working with Tidal Basin to get that stuff done. We're still maintaining the updated information on our website, sharing with the county emergency response Facebook page as often as we can. I've emailed the townships, fire departments, and road commission with access to a shared drive so they can keep all the documentation and receipts in one place so that we can track our expenses, which is required by the state. There is some funding options that have come about. Urgent needs grants from the Community Foundation are available for organizations in the county to apply for assistance. This is not just for the county. This is any organization. Townships can apply for this. 501c3s can apply for this. All different agencies can. And when I contacted the lady, she said that we could get up to $5,000. That's what we'd be eligible for. And we could possibly use that to help assist residents with repairs and cleanup if we were granted that money.
Is that for each township? Up to 5?
So they'd have to put an application in, but I think they can get up to 5,000 if they apply for it,
Okay.
depending on the amount of funds that the Community Foundation still has.
Okay, I spoke with Loud Township Supervisor. And he said, really, we don't have a lot of damage out there, so he doesn't really know if he could use that, at least for the Loud Township. Is there any way Loud Township could help other townships? I mean, if they were put in for that $5,000, do we have to put it into our township or?
When you apply for it, you have to specifically lay out what your plan is to use the funds for, so it can go back to your residents. So you would have to make that application, and then they would grant it to you based on the parameters that you laid out in your application. So that it would be very specific as what they use it for.
Okay.
All the expenses that are currently in the PA worksheet for the state and their tracked in my sims, we made payments to the damage assessment teams and the debris site workers up until the 20th that they worked, which they're still doing. Attached in here, for the board, you found information on the EOC and each role of the members, just so you had a better idea of what each person was working on. We have an updated IEP. It's been completed and will run until 4/28/2025, which is the end date for the state of emergency declaration right now. MDOT is going to continue assisting in the county until 4/28. And all the above will continue well into May and will be updated accordingly if any new declarations occur or information is given. Some new updates that have occurred just in the last couple of days. I talked about the vendor coming in to help haul the things away. I talked about the Eagle permits that are expiring the 12th. We received information from NRCS, which is the Natural Resource Conservation Service that's partnered with the Conservation District for Alpena Montmorency County. They have enacted the emergency watershed protection, which you can fill out paperwork, and I have to get more specifics on that and how that would work, but they would help us get funding to come in and clean our waterways so that if anything else does happen, we don't have flooding because of blocked dams or blocked waterways. So I have a meeting set up here soon with them to hopefully find out more information on what we would have to do or what we need in order to utilize that funding. We contacted P&G for a list of repairs that are still needed for electrical masts. Lieutenant Barker wanted that information, so that's being tracked. Like I said, 2-in-1 requests for the county are really winding down. As of 4/21, we didn't have any new requests, but I did just add one for somebody yesterday. Like I said, crisis cleanup is still taking names and getting assistance. All the receipts have been uploaded. Our current total for the receipts for general receipts are $12,802.78. We have signed contracts and made payments for damage assessment team members, debris site monitors, and the contracted EM service for that week. So the grand total cost of that portion of it was $9,090.75. So our grand total of all expenses between damage assessment, debris, assistant EM, and the general expenses is $21,893.53. I'm meeting starting today at 10 o'clock. I have Bill sitting in on that for me because I had to be here. CDBG is giving funding to the 12 counties that were affected. And all the parameters for that funding are supposed to be laid out today. That is going to give every county $72,000 towards generators. And they're going to give you specific parameters on what generators you can buy and who qualifies for it. It has to be an essential service to the community. I don't know the specifics yet. Like I said, I was finding that out today. But along with that $72,000, we were also granted, just Montmorency County alone was given $200,000 to come back to replenish our food pantries and food banks in the area. So that will get dispersed to those organizations. So the people who, really hit their supplies or lost supplies because of the storm, they can get replenished with this money, and that's coming in with the CDBG funding. So our county was the only one out of 12 that got that, which was, I thought was amazing.
What are the parameters for that? Is that?
That's what I'm finding out today too. There's a lot of those meetings still happening. And I just wanted to let you know that I was able to gain access to the Rave alert system. There was a lot of conversation on that. I got into that. I got a roster of the listed admins for the system. The current administrators that had access to send alerts were Brian Rogers, Chad Brown, and Donna Varani. So I've updated it with my contact information until we have an EM, and we can use this moving forward to send out alerts and utilize the system. That's all I have right now.
Are you the only contact then on that, or do you still have Chad and Donna?
Nope, they're all still on there. I didn't remove anybody. And it's weird because the list is actually, this is the list of users on Rave right now. It's 2 pages. But there's only the 3 domain admin listed, and that was the 3 that I named. And the others were fire department, volunteer firemen, all listed, but that doesn't mean that they've ever had access to the system. It just says they were a user, which means they could have gotten into it, but I don't think they had any ability to do or send any things. So I have to get with the fire chiefs and find out if the list of people I have is still accurate, and we can update that accordingly, because there might be volunteer firefighters that are no longer, or they might have added to it. So that's something that's going to have to get done where we update that. But they're just listed as users. But it was a pretty hefty list, but like I said, there was only 3 domain admins listed.
Did the NRCS potential funding have a match requirement?
That's why I don't know any specifics on that yet either. That's why I had the meeting with them, so I can find out more information on it.
A dumb question, but is there a time frame on when you gotta use up the $200,000 worth of food? Because I think that's way more than necessary.
I don't think I wouldn't know until today. They're sent out the parameters on it today at this meeting at 10 o'clock. So I don't know any specifics on it. I don't think it's gonna be, oh, you get 200,000 now. I think what they're gonna do, they would probably work with the Eastern Food Bank and set it up where they've paid for certain things, or they've replenished certain things to get to these pantries. And then they'll probably get with the different pantries in the area and find out their needs list and work it like that. I would assume that's how it's gonna work. I wouldn't assume they just $200,000 and spend it all and be done. It would probably be some kind of guidelines on how it moves forward. But again, a lot of this information is still forthcoming. There's still a lot of meetings happening with all this information, and it's coming out, and without us knowing for sure what we were talking about, Section 19 reimbursements for the county. Now it's public assistance. And if it goes to FEMA, then it's a completely different category. So we're just waiting for the final decision on the state level to know how we have to move forward. So we can't request any reimbursements yet until we know which source we're gonna have to use to reimburse with. And that's all up in the game. Just some updates on the emergency manager. Obviously, that didn't get hired because the storm happened. I know there was applicants sent to Alpena County for this position that we were planning on sharing. I don't even have a completed contract to share because he sent me a draft, but he did not like some of the things in it from Alpena County. So I haven't even really gone through it with anybody yet or even looked at it. He's going to give me some edits first and then resend it to me. And I also told him that after the storm, I think our commissioners had a lot of questions if the shared EM would work. So there was some conversation that needed to happen before we even proceeded. So we kind of just put a stall on that because I didn't want to move forward with any interviews or anything if the board is still not comfortable with that decision after what has occurred. So I don't have an update on that. There was mention in the public comment about Albert Township sharing an EM. The only information we ever received from Albert Township was through Doug Baum. And that was at the very beginning of our talks. And it was us paying half the salary in the amount of $45,000 to $50,000 for Glenn at the Albert Township Fire Department to be our EM. So he would still be a firefighter and we would pay that salary and he'd be our EM. Now, when we talked to Lieutenant DeCastro, he really suggested we didn't go that route. He didn't think that was a good idea because when a fire occurs, what would the priority be? Fire that. And he pushed us away from that option. So that was why that never really went anywhere. It wasn't just, it was about paying half a salary for somebody already employed by Albert Township Fire Department. And that was the email we received from Doug Baum on that.
I had a conversation with Lieutenant yesterday that was different from what you're saying, where he said it can work if that person in an emergency will be dedicated to that emergency, which is what Doug told me would be the situation. So I think there's a misunderstanding in what the township was offering for that, and I still think it's worth it to look at that.
I can give you Doug's email and it said share his salary because they asked what the salary cost was for him and if we would share.
But you're saying that I'm not talking about the salary. I'm saying you're saying the concern was that he wouldn't be in an emergency. That person would be conflicted. Am I a firefighter or am I the EM for the county? And what I was told is that person would be solely the EM for the county in an emergency situation. So I just think it's worth revisiting that. That could be a viable option and it could be a cost-effective option. So.
Well, that's the same thing because that's basically what Lieutenant DeCastro, he told us in the meeting that we had with the fire chiefs here that day, that he has just seen it work in other Region 7 areas where they are conflicted. We had a fireman here that was interested in the position and I asked him if he was willing to stay for this one and he didn't want to. He wanted to do the fire and he wanted to go do the outside work, which was valid too. Everything had to be done. So I kind of understand what he's talking about. You got to have somebody that would be dedicated that could step out of that emergency, go for it role and to sit here and manage. That was a whole different thing. Just so everybody knows too, the people that sat in this room, I think one was actually an EM, but the other three were all fire chiefs, were all firemen. And they have taken on this. So those that Oakland Incident Management Team, they weren't professional EMs, they were fire chief. And they said the same thing. You have to tell yourself you're sitting here and you're managing. You're not going to the fire, whatever it would be, whatever the incident is. So they kind of confirmed that. And it would depend on the person, of course. If they could separate themselves, that would just definitely have to be something to consider. And I think everything is on the table.
It can be written into a contract also.
Yeah, it could be. And I think everything is on the table right now.
Yeah.
I think we're willing to look at many options.
Yeah.
What was the contract with the mutual aid?
Well, because when I was talking to Jesse about the contract, do we want to continue with the contract with Alpena or do we want to have more of a mutual aid contract? Those are just things that to consider, like how would we want to do it? Do we want to have a shared EM or do we want to have something else set up with Alpena County to share resources? Like, just options. Obviously, we don't have any decisions on what way to move forward, but these are just conversations that occurred during this incident. Like, these are other things you could consider working with and just things to think about.
Well, and we did take advantage of that mutual aid. We don't have a formal contract, but for example, we needed resources in Lewiston for the over 50 club because they were afraid they were going to lose their food supply there. And so Alpena graciously brought and came and set up the generator from Alpena. So we saw that with Alpena on a couple different things that they, supported us with. I was going to say even the cots and shelter and stuff, we had good coordination with them as well.
And the last part was just that, obviously, our fire chiefs were in here and a lot of the other agencies as well, but when everything kind of winds down, we should set up a meeting with the fire chiefs and ask them, what roles they want to help us get established for an incident command for our own county and their thoughts on everything that occurred and what we could do differently. Like, we'll have to have that meeting that needs to be set up where we can all get in a room and talk about what needs to be changed or what shouldn't be changed or all that information.
Is that something you think we can set up like in May? Like towards the end of May, perhaps?
Possibly, yeah.
Or whatever works best for them, because also the DNR has reached out. They want to be part of that conversation. We also had partners like MDHHS and Thunder Bay Community Health Services that helped with well checks in a medical way and a texting line for people that they couldn't call out, but they could text if they had a problem, if they were running out of insulin or whatever, that they were able to text and get information through, which worked really well. And I know Amy Meyer has asked to be part of that as well. And MDOT, we had a representative from MDOT here for 2 weeks. She was an asset, so.
Might want to do road commission and the sheriff also.
Well, yeah, they would be on, yeah, they're already on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sheriff, DNR, fire chief, IMT, and DHHS.
I don't know where you're looking specifically. So.
Well, my notes, I've added them.
Okay.
And somebody else too that I think had requested, but the DNR did request that information to be part of that discussion as well. Is there anything else on that?
Any future discussion about the emergency manager would have to wait until after the action report is made? After action report?
I don't think so. I think you guys need to, I think we need to talk to our fire chiefs and have that meeting to see what their thoughts are before you make a decision on which way you want to move.
Yeah, I don't think we should just jump into anything right away. We need to look and at least take some time and see what's available and what's out there.
Mhm. I mean, I'd hate to jump on something now and not hear what they have to say after going through this incident.
Yeah, and there was a lot of help from a lot of the chiefs that might be interested, maybe after this. This is new to them too. I mean, we've never had anything like this. So maybe there would be some interest there that they have names.
Yeah.
2 more.
And I will say one of the things that when Jesse had emailed me after the incident, he said they're not against still having a shared EM, but one thing that they noted that they would really like to see if we did it is that we had an alternate person, like whoever they have in that area be named as the alternate in case of emergency. So one goes here and one goes there. So we would have that backup. So that's something we would have to discuss too, because that was something that obviously we'd have to have that named.
You'd have to have both. So is that part of mutual aid?
No, that would be if we did the shared contract.
Oh, gotcha.
And he said like, because currently Kim Elke is their EM and she would be going to 911 coordinator. So in the contract, we can say that Kim would be the alternate set aside for an emergency like this, so that one is one place and the other is another place. That was just a quick email. He had said that he noticed that's something that they would like to discuss before moving forward.
Training they're sending the future emergency manager too, how expensive would it be to have an alternate attend train with?
Actually, April and myself and
Well, no, he's talking about the different
Oh.
training. So, those are usually reimbursable by the state. So if you get them registered enough, they could be paid for by the state. So hopefully wouldn't cost us anything else. I don't know the specifics on any of those courses because it depends on which ones they're offering and when they're offering.
Wouldn't necessarily have to take all, but it wouldn't hurt to have alternates trained up as possible beforehand.
Yep.
For whatever reason, they're on vacation out of the state or somewhere.
I think the
Primary.
certificate, yeah, I think that certification was part of the criteria. And just as general classes, we could say too, that we've been offered classes that we could take in emergency preparedness. April's gonna go to a conference. I know Michelle has looked at taking some of the courses and myself, so.
Any board member is
something
free
easier
to
with
take those
going.
classes as well to help.
Can you send information on that?
It's just my.train.org. and You can make an account and see all of them.
Send it out.
Yep.
So let's see what way, so I guess the takeaway from that would be to see when we could get a meeting together, most reasonable.
Even if we go another route with a contracted emergency manager of some sort, it still wouldn't hurt to have a backup train.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, the thing that, was the takeaway for me, having been, put in that position and of course not being a trained EM, is that first health and safety portion of any emergency. Our emergency services knocked that out. They had assistance with DNR and with the National Guard, but we were, they did an excellent job getting that all completed, those tasks, having the welfare checks and those things. And then there were repeat checks, of course, that went after that. And then we moved on to people that needed the support, pretty much what the report had said. And all of those kind of things definitely require people to manage on an ongoing basis.
Would it be, just thought of this, maybe a motion or something in the next, either today or the next meeting to maybe consider presenting or putting out a temporary EM contract just to get us through until we can get the final process of what you'd want to do, like to see if there's somebody out there that we could hire that has experience, has training to help get through this incident and things going on until you can get somebody in place. Is that something you guys would want to consider, or do you just want to wait and just do it all?
I'd rather do the process right and put the thought into it instead of trying to throw out a temporary thing. We don't really have much time to think through or define what that's gonna look like and
Well, we would have to
who's it
post
gonna
it.
be.
Yeah,
It would be a process. If it would have to be well defined. It might not be I guess I'm thinking it might not be a bad idea because we do have a lot of pieces. The debris piece, I'll be honest, I didn't see this debris process being as long and unfolded because that runs into the question of the fire lanes and all of that. That's all part of that process.
yeah, I wanted to touch on that. I got an email from, I was talking to Todd Bering from the Road Commission. We still have a lot to clean up. Like our roads our roadways still have a lot. And so the County Road Association asked the affected counties involved in the ice storm to do an estimate on debris cleanup countywide. This is what it comes up to using MDOT specifications out of their construction manual. CRA is trying to get FEMA more aware of the debris damage, and I wanted you to see what Montmorency County adds up to. Its estimate is based on 2020 MDOT standard specifications for construction manual section 201 clearing, item number 201-0001. The pay unit for this estimate is based on a per acre cost. As of 4/15/25, 250 center lane miles need to be cleared. The estimate considers 10-foot wide width beyond the shoulder of the road on each side. It is estimated that 80% of the area affected by the storm will still need removal/clearing. Therefore, it is estimated that 485 acres of row will need to be cleared. The average cost for MDOT pay item clearing is $13,742.26 per acre. This pay item includes the cost of removal and disposal. The engineers estimate to bid the above detailed debris clearing is $6,664,996.10. Gives you a picture of some of the things that they're looking at if we had to do that. And there's another, there's a lot of them that come in.
Now, with that, did Todd happen to say what the process is once they?
These are just estimates going into the state because they're doing that damage assessment and trying to get the funding
That's part of
threshold.
that still.
So that's part of that part. The State Emergency Operations Center deactivated on 4/18 because they were starting their damage assessment portion. So that was just another update I received. They're pleased to report the state of Michigan has received 96.5 million in FEMA grant reimbursements into the state of Michigan account over the weekend. They include payments for EMPG, HSGP, disaster grants, NSGP, and mitigation. Look at those things maybe moving again. A little more information on the overall FEMA reimbursement situation is below. 96.5 million of funds received. They're all submitted draws received except for 1K of VRAC state management costs. They're working to submit draws for the grants that come off hold last Wednesday. So this is all information that they're gathering to help us get that threshold. So we've kind of reached that point where we're probably going to be well over the threshold needed to get that FEMA declaration on that portion of it.
Is there any thoughts on doing a, would you contract for a temporary EM?
I don't know how that would work. If you want, I can first reach out to the different groups that we talked about and try to set up a meeting and go that route.
Isn't Brian Rogers local and already trained to be an emergency manager?
Well, because we have Brian Rogers, he ain't doing it.
He's got a job.
Throwing it out there, I know he's qualified.
He's a great
I didn't think
mentor,
he was
but
interested.
no, absolutely not.
I think they said it posted, but there, like, there's, I don't know, did you guys already talk about this, or is this just a new idea you just?
No,
came up
she-
with?
No, it's
Okay.
some-
So just like throwing a brand new idea like that at this meeting and then wanting a decision on it, it's just not how it works. So it'd be nice to spend the time, and I see the audience not liking that, but to me, it's like, how do I make a decision? I'm just, yeah, let's make a motion, let's just do this, when there's no information about, so if you want to look into that and then maybe come back to the board, but I can't make a decision on something.
Are you, what decision are you talking about?
You're talking about like having a temporary.
No, that was just something I just thought of. Is that something you guys wanted to consider, or do you just want to do the full process? I'm not asking you to make a
You
decision
asked
on
for a
it.
motion. You said you want to make a motion. You were talking about doing a motion.
She said we could.
I said you could either today or put on the next meeting if you wanted to look at something like that. But first off, I think we should have a meeting with the fire people and our agencies to find out what they'd like to see happen. And it doesn't have to be an open meeting.
Okay, I was confused by what you said, because we talked about before we go forward with an EM decision for potential full-time, we were gonna meet with fire chiefs first. But then you talked about this temporary interim option that we could do. It sounded like right now, so I'm just saying, like, I'm not making a decision on that now, if that's what you were proposing for me personally. So I was confused by what you're saying there, because I thought you were talking about two separate things, the way that you said it. So that's just that's how I interpret it. So I just wanted to clarify.
Well, it would be
with
two
you.
separate things, wouldn't it? I mean, we could do both. I mean, if we looked at a short-term and a long-term solution, if the long-term is going to take longer of a process.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The short term was presented, like, we could make this decision today for this. But I'm just saying, like,
I just thought of that right now. Like, is there something that you want to do a two-step? Do you want to hire somebody part-time temporarily to fulfill the needs? and then work the process, or do you want to just wait and do the whole process? But either way, I really do think you should have, set up a meeting with the fire departments, the chiefs, and all of our agencies that are involved. Either way, I think we should do that.
100% with that.
I think we need to wait, yeah, and do that and meet with
I think that should
the
happen
other
as soon as
departments.
possible. I don't know why that needs to wait because.
Yeah,
I
and
know
it
we're
doesn't
still in the
have to
midst of
be an
things, but-
open meeting act, it just could be a meeting, so.
Determine timeframe and cost before we even think about temporary, if it's gonna be something we can
Right.
afford and wanna do.
Right.
And we have some budgeted, budgeted monies for that EM.
Yeah, well, we were gonna share the contract with Alpina, that's it.
Right. So, but I would, yeah, I don't have a problem with doing that.
So I can reach out to all the different agencies and try to get a time that works for everybody to get in the room.
As many people as we could.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
I think the one thing that we learned in this emergency is how overwhelming the position of EM is. That I thought it was just like our small office that we had the EM in. I thought it was a small job. It wasn't until this emergency happened and we all became involved and we got other agencies involved that filled this room. And that doesn't include all of the satellite people working in the different townships and the different senior centers, shelters, fire departments.
Right.
This is a huge job, huge, and it encompasses a lot of different aspects that need to come together so that we can get this job done in a timely fashion and do it right. So to say that we need somebody as a part-time, I think is slighting the job very much. I think in order to do this county and our constituents right, we need to consider the big picture and we need to get people involved like our townships, like our fire departments, police department, the DNR, everyone that was here, we need to get involved and put this EM job together.
I do need to let Alpina know, something. Because if they're expecting us to still continue, do you guys want to tell them, need to tell them that we're gonna hold off right now until we have further discussion?
I think we should.
I mean, I do need to let them know something because you have these resumes that came in and right now we have motions that we're gonna do this, but if we want to make change to that, I have to give them some kind of communication.
I don't want to see something happen today, but I don't want to see it happen a month or 2 months later. I want to see something happen relatively soon.
You just want me to let them know that till next board meeting, which is what, May 8th, that I can give them more information than that date? Or I just need to give them some kind of heads up.
So it's on hold pending
Yeah.
the results of
I mean,
our
we
end of
don't
action
know- We
report.
don't know timing on stuff, so I think it'd be hard to commit to it. We can give them another update after the next board meeting, maybe say that.
Okay.
And I know that Kim had reached out to me too, and she had, you know, similar concerns, so.
Okay, I will reach out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I just wanted to advocate for the fire departments. There's no reason why this meeting can't happen sooner than later, and it might be
Okay.
multiple meetings with the fire chiefs and the sheriff's department, just to get everything put together for that. And it sounds like Alpina might be waiting for an answer. There's no reason for us to wait to have a meeting. Like I said, it might be multiple times, but it would be nice to get that ball rolling to help the process instead of making a decision rationally.
Right. So if you could get us some dates and times, maybe to
You
April.
just tell us and we'll make it happen. And next week would be a great time to get it started where we can sit down with you guys and just have a discussion.
Yeah. Evening work better?
Probably for
Okay.
most people, if that's an option.
Okay. Yes.
One entity that's been missing from this discussion is the municipalities, the guys, the people that have the boots on the ground. You know, we've got a great fire chief, we've got a great sheriff's department. but you need to have the township supervisors and the village manager at that meeting also, because the decision that you all make affects us directly, and we have to live with that decision. So we need to be a part of that conversation.
We can add.
You guys can still make the vote, but you need to get the input from the townships, from the people out there, because we're the ones that gotta live with that decision.
No, that's fine. We can,
And I mean, shouldn't have even been a discussion with Alpena until that discussion happened within this county, because it's like corporate management. We're the department heads. You don't consult the department heads, you don't know what's going on.
well, the discussion with Alpena started last year, so that wasn't even, that isn't even
Last
related to
November.
this. So, if we can,
So
we could add units.
instead of setting up an actual full board meeting, if I plan a date in this room for all the fire supervisors, and everybody to come, and just, it obviously wouldn't be decisions, but then I can maybe ask at the end of that meeting, even if it becomes multiple meetings, to have like a proposal done by that group to present to the board. Would that be, that way we don't have to have an actual full board meeting, and if we have to do multiple meetings, we can without having to schedule it and all that. And then have them gather a proposal that they all agree upon to bring to the board. That
Would
would
be fine,
okay.
and include the DNR in that.
Yep.
Lindsay?
I just wanted to make sure that EMS is involved as well.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
that'd be
I
part
know
of it.
everybody keeps
Yes.
on saying fire
Yes.
department, but
Yes,
EMS.
No, it'd be
is
fire,
involved.
EMS, sheriff, DNR,
Mm,
townships.
I think a key aspect came up in one of the speakers that came up front here, where we need a proposal from the fire chief on clearing fire lanes. Everybody has seen the debris on the ground, and not just along the roads, which we pushed aside just to open the roads up. But I mean, acres and acres and acres. I don't think there's a tree in all of northern Michigan that did not sustain ice storm damage. There is a lot of debris on the ground right now, and help us if there's ever a fire like we had
Couple years ago.
2 years ago.
This will be worse, don't worry.
And the debris on the ground isn't just little brush anymore. You're talking substantial tree branches. So I think preventative action now, open up these fire lanes. Preventative action right now would help volumes in the future, should something like a fire happen in this county. So I think that's one of the main things that we should have in our conversation.
Depends what your idea of a fire lane is too, because there's thousands of little back roads that if there is a forest fire, they may need to be used, and if they're blocked by trees, I mean, you can't cover every one of them little roads.
I do have a question. When we do the list for our meeting, I think DHS, the senior centers and Thunder Bay Clinic should be in on that also, because they were really big on all this. So they should have a say, so I would think in the EM. At least write up,
Okay.
any emergency plans they have.
Maybe there needs to be conversation about shelters. 'Cause I know St. Francis wasn't a dedicated county shelter, but they kind of stepped up right away, and then they were asked to become a shelter during the disaster. And so if that is going to be a designated shelter going forward for the county or any other places, that should be considered and the right people brought in to the conversations.
Yeah, and I've
I agree.
had some townships reach out to me about the generator issue, because they would be willing to be a future shelter if they had a generator.
Yeah,
So
if the
that's-
townships all had their own.
Yeah, and I had one specifically reach out to me and said that they would be willing to do that as well. So that would be part of the conversation. Maybe the first part though needs to be the EM immediately.
I would think
Would be
the
priority.
shelters and stuff like that would be part of the emergency manager plan making.
Right,
After we
yes.
decide what we're doing with the emergency.
I agree. I think the EM comes first. That's priority.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I agree, Bob.
I'll send that out to everybody, and get a date set and utilize the room so they can all come in and have a conversation. Get some planning done. One of the contacts we made during this as well, was Washington State DNR. That, their biggest concern, and I know they talked to our fire chiefs about, this becoming out west type of fire because of the amount of debris that's there, and he was willing to come and assist and give information because of, that's something he deals with out there all the time, and if we wanted his input, he was more than happy to come in and give that as well.
I think, yeah, if we could use his expertise and knowledge, that'd be good. To have him come in.
Is that, are we on? Great. We're going to recess for 10 minutes, please.
Sounds good.
Old business, total vehicle update. Sheriff?
Yes.
You had said that, that total vehicle update, so has it been seen?
Yeah, so the total vehicle is, it actually went to Plowman's yesterday. As I spoke to FPS on, I believe it was Monday afternoon, during the ice storm, a branch came down on the driver's side, it's like a corner roof. That was cleared off. The mechanic did Bondo and paint it. And that was done essentially, I guess this week it was completed, and then it went to Plowman's. I'm sorry, it went to Plowman's yesterday, so it'll be inspected by them and repaired moving forward as needed. And the other, the other thing we talked about FKS is we haven't really had a regular meeting since with the ice storm, and the other new vehicle, the other lease vehicle did make it to the road as well, so we should work that.
My concerns is, until we knew exactly what we're gonna do, why are we doing body work on a vehicle?
I believe, well, this is, and this, I agree, it needs to be a really, I don't know when we decide to hash this out, but I don't want to speak on behalf of the mechanic, but I feel like he's been put in an awful position, and not necessarily by this board, but by the previous board, where he has a lot of chiefs, I feel like, where he's contacted by multiple people with multiple instructions, and he is his own department head allegedly. And I think I think it's time to kind of either have a very clear, concise conversation on what his authority or responsibilities are, or transition back to what it was before a rash decision was made, and that's when he worked for the sheriff's office. He was an employee of us under our supervision. And
I understand yours. I was just curious why it was even done, since the first thing it was supposed to go to just to get checked. And I know it had with everything that went on, but not to say that it couldn't have got fixed later. But I was just curious.
I guess
why.
here's again, this goes back to the, I think, conversation we've had previously is, I believe you've spoken to the mechanic. I know he had a scheduled meeting with you that we weren't able to make once to look at the damage, if I recall.
The first time, yeah.
So again, I'm a big fan of having people in positions, and if they're in that position, I'm gonna trust their expertise. And if you've had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Nielsen, he is beyond an expert in his field and carries certifications and licenses in his field. I go to him for that insight, not me. I'm not a mechanic. So when he's already said, this is where we're at, there's gonna be a significant savings, this damage quote was essentially elevated, which isn't abnormal, but nobody put eyes on. It's pictures, AI generates it. It's an inaccurate and elevated repair quote. And that's why we're in the position we're in. If he didn't think that vehicle was safe, if he didn't have reasons to repair what was broke, he wouldn't have. And we would be having very different conversations. But I'm gonna encourage you, whether it's the mechanic or, you have full faith in the controller, full faith in your equalization. Just have that faith with your department head. We're making decisions that are in the best interest of the taxpayers to move forward and serve the community. So I know that's a long answer, and I apologize, because that was the decision that was made by the mechanic. It was a quick fix that he could do.
That's not what I was told.
I don't know what you were told.
When I went to go look at the vehicle, because I was told that there was a tree that fell on it.
Okay.
And I knew it hadn't been transported yet because of the
Because
ice
of
storm
all
and
this,
everything. Yeah, right. And I couldn't find it. So I knocked on the door and I said, well, where is it? Bernie? I wanted to take a picture of, the tree damage because it fell on it, just so that we had that. And it's in there and it's taped off and he did some body work to it. And I said, well, who told you to bring it in here? He said, Chad Brown did.
Correct.
So.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. If he can fix it, he's gonna fix it. That's pretty much how that.
But
having a mechanic
the way the board had said is, we're gonna go get it inspected first, and then we would go from there. So that was the last time I knew that we were gonna do anything with
That
the
was,
vehicle.
that was referenced, and this is again where I'm gonna say, I'm gonna trust whatever everybody's profession is, it is your profession. I am gonna trust that you're a good commissioner because.
And my
this
thing is, I'm just going for safety purposes. I
No,
just want to
and
double check.
Ms. Hamlin, you've met Bernie, and I think you have a good idea of me. And if you think that a decision would ever be made about our office or our equipment to where it was unsafe, however much you care about it, I care about it more, to be quite frank. We would have to deal with that. So just, again, if you don't trust me, that's fine, but trust that I have the exact same feelings as you. And the reason he repaired it is because he's a mechanic. It is at Plowman's, they're gonna look at it, make sure there's nothing that Bernie didn't already see, and Lord willing, it'll be back on the road like it should have been a while ago.
My opinion, the board just needs to butt out on the mechanic and let him do his job.
Yes.
There's no reason for it. If we would just let him do his thing, we would have had the car back a month ago without all this discussion and wasting of time. He's a state
My
certified
issue,
master mechanic. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what's going on.
and my issue was when we first were kind of getting into this, were there two vehicles that weren't, well, one vehicle was already put out, our lease vehicle. So then we were waiting on the second one to be put out, but yet we brought that total vehicle in, was doing some work on it.
Yep.
That was my issue. Now, I know it's back on the road now, so
But
that's good.
that's incorrect. Okay, and this is, so I'm gonna request, I mean, we make motions all the time. I'm gonna request this board consider and make a motion to put the mechanic back under the office of sheriff and eliminate, so we don't have to do that. If you have an issue, you talk to me about it, and we're not doing a three-way. I just think it'd be more efficient. And on top of that, the other vehicle was the second lease vehicle, to just make that statement correct. The second lease vehicle was on the road prior to him bringing in and working on
Okay,
because of all the issues you had brought up.
yeah.
One of the primary issues was timeliness. That was something you specifically requested. So before he did anything, that second vehicle was back on the road already. So I mean, truthfully, if he had a paint booth, he'd probably have that car put back together 100% at this point. But that's gonna be Plowman's thing. They're gonna take care of that. So
Okay.
he is efficient and very good at what he does. He really, truly is.
And we'll have the report by the next meeting anyway.
I probably
Yeah.
before.
Did they,
Okay.
did they give us a estimated time or whatever?
No, it just went there yesterday, so we
Okay.
haven't received
It'll be there.
communication.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And the previous time that you're talking about when you put it up on the lift, it wasn't like he just put the second lease car on hold to work on that. It was when he had no parts, they couldn't work on the second car that he decided to put it on the lift, to check it out. Now he was just putting that on the back burner because he wanted to work on the totaled car or damaged car.
County Department reports, controller.
Not very much, just quickly. Nationwide contacted me. Our current plan is set up with an in-service distribution age of 70.5, and that was set up when the plan was originally done years and years ago. It hasn't been updated. The legislation has changed that allows us to be lower, and I request to update our plan accordingly. So I'm going to send approval to Nationwide to lower that in-service distribution age to 59.5, which is the legally allowed age for the 457B plan that they have. This is all employee paid fund. So
This is the retirement fund.
this is a supplementary one. It's completely employees put the money into it, so I feel like it should follow the legal limits of the 59.5 and not restrict them if it's their own money, you know, they should be able to get it. So I'm just letting you know I'm making that change for them. At FPS, just, and I know the sheriff talked about this, but I'm just giving you an update as well. There was that flood at the basement. We did submit that into MIRMA. The deductible for that's $1,000. Service master came and cleaned it up. So we did receive the check back. We have to pay service master, but I think it was 1825. I don't have it on in front of me, but it was about 1825. And also they had the fire sprinkler inspection done out there. I got the report from that, and we're gonna have to pay to have a 5-year service needed on a few things. I have to get with Chad, I'll get with you on that to go over estimates on that. Just a reminder also, the auditors are coming next week. They'll be on site on the 30th. And then the annual conference for administrative office for Michigan County Association is May 20th to 23rd. I will try to attend that if things have calmed down here, but that's it for me. Treasurer?
I actually have questions on the report. So it has some future board meeting topics. Can you just elaborate on what those will look like? I know policy updates has been an ongoing thing. Can you just explain a little bit more so we know kind of what's coming as board members?
So those are just things that we've talked about in the prior meetings that I keep note of so that we know that they're gonna have to be added to the agenda soon. We do have the policy updates. We talked about the building and court, the judge and I working on a plan for that, so that'll come up eventually. And then we do have to have a conversation here in the near future of enterprise and how we plan to continue with that. That's something that we're going to have to talk about. And I just added myself EM discussion. So it's just notes for me to know future agenda items to add and for you guys to be aware that they will come up when we decide we want to add them to the agendas.
Okay, because so I was advised that I should start looking at those and start asking questions now on those. So that's kind of why I'm bringing it up, because I kind of don't like fleet program. Like I can think of a lot of different questions regarding the fleet program. So is there something specific that is going to be recommended, or are you just, is it just a board discussion? Is there
Board
action
discussion
taken?
and to let me know if I need to bring the people in so you can ask them specific questions, which I think would be the best option, that you can ask them directly. So I just have to schedule that if that's what you would like to do. But it's not on the top of the list of things that have to be done, but just an FYI that we will have to talk about that soon.
Well, I would like to see documentation and how much it's actually costing us to do the lease and how many miles we are putting on the vehicles before we have to turn them over after the 5 years is up, that type of thing. I mean, you're paying for 100,000 miles on a lease and you're only using it for 50,000 miles, you're overpaying, that type of thing. I'd like to have as much information on that type of thing as possible.
And this lease isn't mile restricted.
No, it's 5 years or 100,000 miles, whichever kind of came first, and they would trade them out for you. But those are all, they're all negotiable, flexible. It's a flexible lease. They can make changes as you want and ask more discussions. And that's kind of one of the reasons we wanted to really make sure we're utilizing that fleet program online so that we could have a good picture of the costs associated, the miles and everything with all the vehicles. So we have a good idea of what the cost is.
Well, I'd like to know what the monthly cost for it is and what the MSRP was on it when it was new, to know what we're comparing. Because one thing about the fleet vehicles is they're 5 miles, 5 years and you're done, or if you outright buy them, you can go as many as 10 years. On them vehicles, basically the same money. But like I said, I just like as much documentation, as cost and mileage and all the other things that go along with it.
So you'd probably like them to give you'd probably like to have the people come on, I would assume. Because they have that
As
information,
far
because
as I know,
they're tracking the
if you
data.
lease a vehicle, they tell you what your yearly cost is and what the MSRP is.
Well, they could bring that information with them. Maybe an individual come here and talk with us. So if there's more than just us having questions that they can answer also. I think it'd be good to have someone come in.
Referees on each side, the lease company and the dealership that's trying to sell you cars. Keep each other honest.
We run into a problem getting with the dealerships. I know we tried.
Not,
for
that was for
equalization.
lease, that was for leasing with
Yeah.
dealerships, you can,
Yeah.
it was either lease with enterprise or buy outright, that was where we kind of were.
I can procure quotes at any point. if that's needed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll have to be easier from the equalization.
Before we go on past the controller's reports, I see, I don't know if we missed something or I needed to add something. I have this appointment to Montmorency County Commission on Aging. Is that?
That's not for this, it'd be the
Okay.
next meeting.
So, I'm missing it. Treasurer? Sorry, Lindsay, I'm trying to get up
Okay.
before.
Just doing a quick update of what we've been doing lately. The ARPA reporting is completed. That had a due date of April 30th. Forfeitures were recorded on April 14th with the deadline of April 15th. There was 317 in total. Delinquent taxes will be mailed out in May to meet our June 1st deadline. That's our big first mailing. Foreclosures have been recorded. We have 9 total this year. All 9 properties are now in possession of the county. Any property that's currently occupied will have an eviction date, notice date of June 1st. I'm gonna have to contract with a locksmith. I've already talked to the sheriff's department about the safety of a couple of these homes, so we'll work together on that. The 2025 tax sale is set for August 28th, and it'll be online again as it has in the previous years on taxsale.net. Title Check just emailed me late last week and said that the DNR will have properties in Montmorency County that'll also be for sale. What they are, I don't know yet. They haven't posted them, but they will post those independently. They're generally not great pieces of property. They're landlocked or whatever, but those will be on there as well. The settlement is completed with $1,194,054.41 in delinquent taxes paid to the local unit schools, the county, and villages. The auditor files were transmitted electronically, and like April said, they'll be on site next week. Me and my staff are looking forward to going through our first audit and seeing kind of what that entails. The state education tax annual settlement report was submitted on 4/21. That has a June 1st deadline, so we met that in time. The petition to foreclose was filed with the county clerk, so we have a case number that is for next year's tax sale. I'm just waiting for Alpena County to mail me the February 2026 date, and then there will be more mailers going out by title check. Also, I attended the Montmorency Township Association meeting a couple weeks ago. Well, it was the same day as an emergency meeting. And just kind of as an elected official, I told them that, you know, that the county does a lot of the same things as the townships, and what we do affects them and what they do affects us. And we really need to tighten that communication bond between the county and the townships. So I have asked that they at least email all electeds when their quarterly meetings are. I think in the past, we were just kind of invited to the summer picnics. So anytime I offered if they want presentations or whatever. So Michelle LaRose was there and she offered up her email, but if you guys are interested in getting them, just email Elaine Dixon. She's at Vienna Township. She'll get those invites out to you. I also let them know that actually last night was our first treasurer's talk. I mentored with other counties previous to starting my position, and they did it, and then they talked about it at conferences as well. So last night we had 5 out of 8 townships attend our first one, which is exciting. We had cookies and pop and water, but it was just a time to kind of talk about the settlement, we call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. We talked about online payment options, just kind of what everybody is doing. Some suggestions. We are moving to a completely computerized tax roll. So all of the township treasurers, I have put a deadline, which is totally achievable, of the end of June to have that paperwork signed. I've signed off on it. Their assessor needs to as well. It's going to be on paper transmission. And with that computerized tax roll, we're also moving to a quarterly settlement. So every quarter, a township treasurer will be electronically sending me their balances so that we're settling every quarter rather than everybody doing it at the end of the year. It's really going to streamline the process and cut down a lot of our time at the end of the year. So they were all really excited about that. Also, another thing noted last night in our meeting is The county treasurer's office sells dog licenses. It's kind of a weird random thing. It's an old law, but we still have to do it. And for many years, the townships have, it's been an option for them. Do you want to sell dog licenses? Most of them take them. Some of them take them 5 at a time, or Albert Township is our hot seller. They take a lot of them, but they were our top seller this year with 36. So John Riggy wants to continue that, but moving forward, the townships will not have them there. We had most of our townships not even sell one. So I'm not taking away a service. They asked me to take it away. So they know their residents the most, except for Albert Township. They will continue to do it moving forward. Also, we are going to honor the rabies, the expiration date on it. So you can either, some counties do dog licenses every year, require them every year, but you can honor it because it's a 3-year certification. So we're going to do that. It's going to cut down on the costs for a lot of our folks. It's only $10 or whatever a year, but still one less trip to the county building. So that was really well received last night. And then we hosted a spring potluck last week, and it was a lot of fun. We did stupid games and had good food. So that's us, the last one or two.
Standing committee, Bob?
Landfill, and a lot of to report on that. It just ice storm affected them for not having power, but they had generator backup. But they couldn't use their pumps for the lagoons until they had their regular power restored. And it was a little concern, but the main power came back on and everything's good now. So the lagoon levels are at normal levels. So they're able to use their injection well again. Pretty much everything had a little hiccup with the storm and everything's back on track to run normally.
Is that it?
That's all I can think of. I don't know if you got anything to add, Michelle.
Michelle?
I attended the FPS this week, landfill meeting, and NEMCOG, and NEMCOG gave a presentation. Usually they have guest speakers, but this time they just gave a presentation on the services they offer. So I'd encourage anyone who's interested to look at their website. They do quite an extensive amount of things that most people probably don't realize. That's it for me.
And I had FPS and the district health department number 4. And we just did discuss the state budget. They had some money that was removed. It was health resource advocates. It was part of the COVID money, and the state has asked for that money back. So it's kind of shifted their budget a little bit. Did have some discussions on measles cases. There are none in DHD4. It's basically downstate is still, and it was, I guess, somebody that had flown in, but not in our region. And other than that, that was basically, there was one other thing. No, I guess that was it.
Thank you. Before I get into any of my committee reports, I would like to say that the volunteers in this county were phenomenal. I have, through my church and a lot of my patrons that I go to church with, talked a lot about St. Francis in Lewiston and how impressed they were with all of the volunteers that worked down there. Michelle LaRose was named several times in everything that she was doing as a volunteer down there and as a commissioner. It was just unbelievable. Our fire chiefs were also named. I know the Hillman Senior Center worked real close with Dave Hornbacher. He was down there every single day, as I was. And it's the unsung heroes behind the scenes that don't get any recognition at all. However, I just received a letter in my mailbox from one of our seniors. Her name is Sally Petrick, and I'd like to read you the short note that she put in here. She says, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for all the incredible work. Joe Boucher, a volunteer that cooked down there every single day, and Jenny, our regular McCullough cook. They did while serving food at the Hillman Senior Center and helping others during this recent rainstorm, ice storm crisis. In such a difficult and uncertain time, their compassion, dedication, and selflessness made a real difference. Their willingness to step up and serve others, often stressful and challenging conditions, speaks volumes for their character. The kindness and the care that they showed each person that they helped brought comfort and hope when it was needed the most. Whether it was preparing meals, distributing food, or simply offering a smile and a kind word, their efforts did not go unnoticed. People like them remind us of the power of the community and the strength of the human spirit. I want to take time to thank them for being a source of light during such a dark time, but also every day they serve the community of Hillman. Their actions were truly inspiring, and I am deeply grateful for everything that they did. With sincere appreciation, Sally Petrie. So again, it's the unsung heroes, not just the ones that were in this room, the committee that helped the EM and helped this county get through a very bad crisis, but it's the unsung heroes, the unseen heroes that were a great asset, absolutely great. There's a letter of testament right there. Thunder Bay Transportation was 2 hours after our last board meeting, and I've got another one again tonight. It was a very short meeting. Our president, Adam, had a doctor's appointment with his kids, and he asked that the meeting be held as quickly as possible. One thing I did notice that in our conversations, and I brought this up before, is that we have a new fleet. We turned in all our old vehicles. And when you say a fleet, I just assumed they were all big buses. In my travels around Alpena, I'm noticing there are some regular sized cars like Equalization is using now, some a little bit larger, and of course our regular buses. We're opening up contracts for individuals that can now get service, whereas before we couldn't put a large bus on their route. It's just too big to get into some of these areas. So that's a new level that we're now being able to open up to. After that, I had the NEMSCA. NEMSCA is, again, that was a rather quick meeting too. Basically because things were happening so quick and so there were no flaws in any of it. Everything went very quick. One thing that we're deeply concerned with is that there's 2 items that Michigan government is trying to cut, and that's the grandparents, what do they call that? The grandparents, let me find it here.
Foster grandparents?
Foster, thank you. Yeah, the foster care with the grandparents, and the other one is the senior foster care. They tie in with companionship. The state is starting to cut a lot of those programs. So it's a big concern with us. These programs are needed very badly, especially with seniors who need companionship. The state's decided that they either don't have the money or they don't want to fund it anymore. So that's all I have.
Michelle.
I did not have any this month. I will have Michigan Works on Monday.
Limited public comment?
Mary Dugas here. I would like to remind Mary Hardy's and Lloyd Peltier and Michelle Hamlin that we, the good people of Montmorency County, voted Chad Brown to be our sheriff by a huge margin of 1,670 to 712. We elected him to do his job like he has for the last 8 years. So as a taxpayer and kind of your boss, I would request that you allow him to do that job. And please stop your petty micromanaging. And from now on, when you attend these meetings, ask that you please have the best interest of the taxpayers and the voters of Montmorency County at heart, and to please leave your personal vendettas at home.
Public comment?
I guess I'm gonna start out with the gentleman that talked about the fires and how bad the area is. I own 80 acres in Hillman Township. My property's trashed, totally trashed. I won't even build a pheasant, archery hunt, nothing in there. Just too many trees down. I am worried about fires. I'm worried about, I look at California, the governor of California said, let's clean our area, let's even rake our area. And then the president thought that wasn't a very good idea. Well, guess what? It was a good idea that they need to clean their forests. I have a bad feeling in my heart that we are gonna have a bad fire this year because the people that live in the city that come up to wanna have bonfires and stuff, I have a bad feeling about that and I hope I'm wrong. So I think we need to look at that. I think that I used to own a grocery store in Hillman. I look for tourism to help my business because in the wintertime, all we're working on is our local people to be hopefully a customer of ours. It's big for people to come up here and do four-wheeling. And there's no more trails for them to ride on. So I feel what they're gonna do is they're gonna trailer and they're gonna go to the UP, they're gonna go to other areas. They're not gonna come in our 3-county area to go side by side riding. And as a store owner, I depended on them people coming up here spending the money and the bars and the restaurants and the motels. I'm afraid we're not gonna have that. We could have that if we can get everybody on board. Let's get these trails cleaned up so we can welcome these people back. The other comment that I have, and there was a rumor that I've heard in Hillman for quite a while that you guys are looking at, and just listening to the meetings overall, I've been here every meeting, about getting rid of our mechanic and totally getting rid of them. I believe on sheriff, let him control that. I can't picture you guys getting rid of a mechanic and then say our police officer needs his oil changed. Where's he going? Are you making him go to Alpena? Well, you're gonna pay the officer 2 hours. He's gonna go to Alpena, get an oil change. So I don't think you're looking at what it's actually gonna cost you to go out and pay for this. I mean, just even a tire change. I mean, simple things that are simple things that wear out on a vehicle, just like our vehicles wear out, need a new battery put in, whatever it is. I can't picture you wanting to get rid of a gentleman that has the knowledge that this guy has. I've never had him work on anything, but I know after hours, he does work on people's vehicles at home. And when I hear about what a mechanic this guy is, I think that's very important for you guys to have. You have enough problems to deal with, and now you're making another problem with the mechanic. I think the sheriff should be under control of that. Let that be the sheriff's department. I know when I drive by the sheriff's office, the sheriff's cars are parked over by his building. I don't understand why that can't be run like that, and I'm pretty sure it was run like that years ago. So please put some more thought into that, because I'm telling you right now, if you decide to get rid of them, you're gonna wish later you didn't. And I don't wanna come up here and say, I told you so. Because I remember when I was against closing the sheriff's department down. And Don Edwards sat here and says, oh, they're gonna save so much money, so much money. Okay, the sheriff's department shut down. I asked where the money was. They couldn't even answer it. I'm looking at 4 years ago, we never had a controller before. And now if you look at the money that you spent in the controller, and I'm not saying April's, I think she's doing a really good job. But if you're looking at cutting, because you're gonna cut him out because of money issue, I think you need to look at April's division. And if she's got 2 girls working underneath her, I think April should be able to handle it. You never had one 4 years ago. So you went from 4 years ago with nothing, and look at the money that you're putting into that. I looked at it as a business owner, I can't justify that money. So I don't know how you guys justify the money. And another thing you need to keep track of is whatever decisions that you guys make right now, the next board has to go with it. Which the same situation that you're in right now. When Don Edwards made the decision, other people followed Don Edwards. Now you'll live with that decision that was made, good or bad. Thanks for your time.
Public comment?
Nice.
My name's Doug Smith. I'm a resident over in Albert Township. And I'd just like to try and open the people's eyes, not only in Montmorency County, but in all of Upper Michigan. The reason I'm saying that is I used to live out west and I was on wildland continuous. I've been through firestorms. My most recent one was in California. My township supported me to fly out there and help out. And all I can say is, I don't know how to put it in words, but if anybody's gonna do anything with a meeting or make a phone call today, you should be calling for resources. I'm talking logging companies, dozers, helicopter crews, contact Gaylord, get their planes, which they probably are already on the tarmac right now. It's just waiting to happen. It's not if it's gonna happen, it's just a matter of when. And whether it's a fire or a tornado or flash flood, hard rains, whatever, it's gonna make things more complicated if you table this stuff till next month. Do action and do it now. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Public comment?
I just wanted to give a quick update on our 911 dispatch. So last week was National Telecommunicators Week. So we celebrated our awesome dispatchers with some goodies and snacks and flowers and stuff in our dispatch center. During the storm, our first day alone, they handled over 454 phone calls. And for 1 week, let's see, in a 2-week period, about just over 1,700 phone calls. So that does not include any other people coming in or whatever bugging them. So I just wanted to recognize them and thank them along with all of our other first responders, volunteers. And I also wanted to thank the Judge Green for pizza. She brought to our office. So thank you for that. Our 5th dispatcher, who's here today, is our floater dispatcher, and we were able to call him in for assistance. So I want to say thank you to him. He's always there and helpful when we need him, and we really appreciate that. So thank you, Scott. The other thing I wanted to mention was that the emergency manager, I know that Mr. Peltier talked about how he didn't realize how big of a deal that position is. And I believe that we've come to you many times and asked to be involved and brought it to your attention. So I'm urging all of you to please not delay any longer with hiring an emergency manager and to try to keep it local. Let our fire chiefs help, let the sheriff help, let us all give some input on that. That's what we do every day. So we would really appreciate that. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that after this emergency, I've been through several of these, several. And this is the first one where I was totally in the dark. No phone, no power, no internet, and no one came to my door. And I had no way of getting information because there were no public boards posted, nothing in pen and paper. So that is something to be considered for the in your preparedness, in your emergency management. And as far as this gentleman mentioned fire, that gentleman mentioned fire. I go to the DNR site. Our county has been in no burn, all except for one day. And yet I am seeing fire. I am seeing sparks flying through my subdivision to the lake. I've called DNR. I've called the fire officer in Otsego. No one is coming out and shutting these people down or finding them. And our teepees are gonna go before too long, because it's coming. There's so much out there. And now I'm afraid of fire. And yet I'm reporting it, but no one is stopping them. And it needs to be posted. I live at Rush Lake Community. There's a big board there when you pull in. I'm sure S Lake has the same thing. I was talking to people at Avalon. Signs need to go up, and people are gathering this debris. They're also dumping it in the oil well fields. We get a brush fire, you've got all this debris in an oil well field, or the gas line little pump, one of those goes, and those. I mean, people need to be touring those things and stopping these people. And yet we're reporting it, but nothing's being done. So that's kind of what I've got. Thank you for listening.
Anybody else want to go? Mike Sukan, Elbert Township. I'm gonna talk about fires, but you know, the fire, we were lucky. The ice storm was devastating, absolutely devastating. But nobody lost their life. No one lost their life. What's out there right now scares the heck out of me. We need to be working on that immediately. I don't think we should be hasty in hiring a emergency manager just to hire an emergency manager. I think we need to get the right person or right people or right committee in place for that. And that's due diligence and that's communication, which is going to be the last part of my conversation. April, you gave us a lot of great information, a lot of good reference material for not only us, but for our constituents, which by the way, our constituents are also your constituents. But why are we not receiving that information? Why do I have to go looking for it? How come if you're getting that information, why is that being disseminated to all of the municipalities so that we can share it with our constituents? In the spirit of transparency, I hope that we can have that relationship here in the future. Thank you very much.
Public comment? Okay, hearing none, we need to go into closed session for union grievance discussion.
Yes, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to move into closed session.
I'll second. All in favor, say yes.
It needs to be a roll call. Brent. Hamlin.
Yes.
Peltier.
Yes.
Hardee's.
Yes.
Rose. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, where were
Right in the
you?
middle of the storm.
Is this going to include the sheriff?
Yeah, it's that union agreement.
Okay.
I gotta hear everybody.
You know, we're talking about
All right, we're back in regular session. Union grievance discussion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the union counter proposal and work through the details to bring a final proposal to the next board meeting on May 8th for consideration and approval.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any more further conversation?
Is that what we just discussed, is to accept that verbatim?
You want to reread it again?
Or accept the counter proposal and work through the details. So regarding some of the details with it, so it's because some of the things in the proposal, I think, were open-ended still, so there was, April will be negotiating and talking through that and bringing the final back to us for review at the next board meeting. Does that make sense?
Were you going to include the negotiation part at 2026, or
I
is
can-
that something April is?
I can amend.
We can get the details. I'll talk to Chris and see if he wants to add it or not.
Okay.
So we have a proposal.
Did you get all this, Cheryl?
Yep.
Okay.
Do we want to? Roll call? Or any other discussion? I'm sorry.
I'm all set.
I'm good.
Okay, roll call.
Hamlin,
Yes.
Peltier,
Yes.
Hardies,
Yes.
LaRose,
Yes.
DeBrent.
Yes.
Yeses have it. Motion passes. A motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none? I'll say, if you agree, I'll say yes.
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 Opposed, no, we are adjourned. You're super slow. Yours is better than mine. I'm gonna tell you, I didn't read the first.